It's a special moment for us because right now we're joined by the Ambassador of France to Jamaica, His Excellency Olivier Guyonvarch. Welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation.
Sure. So we understand that you played a critical role in the negotiation process where the BBNJ Treaty is concerned. Can you talk to us about that?
Thank you. I would not dare to say that I played a critical role, but I played my role, my role as Assistant Director for the Law of the Sea, River Law and Polar Affairs in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from 2012-2016. And I was the head of the French delegation negotiating the PrepCom of the BBNG agreement. And we reached an agreement in December 2016 to launch the official conference, intergovernmental conference, to negotiate the BBNG. And I remember that this agreement, it remains in my mind because it was in New York on the 23rd of December. And we have been negotiating in a small room until 2 in the morning.
Wow.
And at the end of the negotiation, there were still 2 countries who were not ready to launch the official conference. And after hours of negotiation, finally one of the 2 countries said, okay, we are going. So there was only 1 country remaining, and they could resist maybe 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, okay, we agree. So there was a consensus to launch the conference. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, when we got out of the building of the United Nations in New York, it was snowing. And I remember the night, dark night, quiet night, it was snowing, and I had a feeling that at my little level, I did participate to a historic moment. And there was a much more historic moment when the BBNG agreement was adopted in New York for 5 years after. And so for us, it has been the achievement of more than 15 years of negotiations.
Wow, wow. I don't think that I don't think you're doing enough justice to your involvement, but we're just happy that that really made a difference and clearly shows that regardless of the weather, we're happy that everybody's in the same boat as we move towards ocean governance. And speaking of better ocean governance, how do you see the BBNJ Treaty, whether at a local, regional, or global level, strengthening ocean governance?
I see in many newspapers that there is no governance in the high seas. It's not true. There is governance in the high seas, but without the BBNJ agreement, this governance is fragmented. For instance, the IMO is governing shipping, and only shipping. The Seabed Authority is taking care of the seabed, but only the seabed. You have the fisheries agreements, which are governing, for instance, tuna fishing, toothfish fishing. In certain region in the Pacific, you have the Cartagena Convention, which is protecting the Caribbean seas, but only the Caribbean seas. So there are many, many international bodies governing either a part of the high seas or something which is a function of the high seas, shipping, seabed mining, tourism, etc. But without the BBNG, there is no global governance. What you are doing, I do not necessarily have to respect what you are doing because I'm not a member of your body. With the BBNG, we will be able to have a global governance. And for instance, we will be able to create marine protected areas, which is one of the most useful tools to protect the ocean. So what is going to do the BBNG? There will be a scientific committee. This international scientific committee will decide, okay, we need to protect those parts of the high seas because there is, for instance, coral bleaching, we have fisheries which are overfished, and etc., etc. And the BBNG agreement, the COP of the BBNG will be able to gather all those different governing bodies, which today are working on their side. They will be able to bring together and to reach an agreement which everyone will have to respect. So that's the interest of the BBNG, one of the biggest interests of the BBNG agreement, to have this global governance. And the second is that it arranges sharing of interests on genetic resources. The genetic resources, some advanced countries have the means to do research of marine genetic resources, and we know that there are some very, very interesting genetic resources, even for human beings, to be able to find new medicines and things like that. But only a few countries, only a few companies are able to do this kind of research. And the agreement is going to organize sharing of benefit of those discoveries, meaning that every countries are going to be able to benefit of that. So this is some of the big aspects. Another aspect is that in the HICs, when you want to carry out an activity, there will be compulsory environmental assessment of those activities. Today, you can do whatever you want in the ICs. There is no limit, and there is no obligation. After, with the BBNG agreement, every new activities to take place in the ICs will need to have an environmental assessment to make sure that this activity will not threaten the marine environment.
Right. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for painting a very big picture of how we'll be able to move from this fragmented approach to a collective and coordinated approach as it relates to sustainable use and management of our ocean resources beyond national borders. And you mentioned something about opportunities, which leads me to my next and my final question. In terms of how is it that the BBNJ Treaty can create opportunities or obligations for Jamaica as it relates to our environment agenda?
With Jamaica, just the question, how Jamaica can benefit of the BBNG agreement?
Right.
Yes, yes.
Or what opportunities will it create? Sorry.
Yes. I would say that Jamaica would benefit with the BBNG agreement in terms, because Jamaica is what so-called a small island developing state, and I agree with another speaker. This name has to be changed, and I would prefer, personally, I would prefer to name Jamaica as a big ocean state, because Jamaica has a large water surface, like some states in the Pacific, other developing states in the Pacific. I think that Jamaica could benefit from that to have a healthier marine environment, because all the oceans are connected. What happened in the ICs have consequences in the EEZ, and what happens in the EEZ have consequences in the ICs. Yes. So if globally we have an ocean, a global ocean, which is healthy, every coastal countries, including Jamaica, of course, will benefit of that.
All right. Thank you so much for explaining that for us.
Because everything is is linked.
Yes. Yes.
Everything is linked.
We're beginning to understand more and more how those things are linked.
That's the reason why when I die, I want to be burned and I want my ashes. I told my daughters, you have to throw my ashes in the sea, so that after, wherever you are in the world, you go to a beach, I will be there.
All right. So
on the North Pole, on the South Pole, on the Pacific, everywhere there will be a tiny, tiny, tiny part of me, because all the seas, all the oceans are connected.
Such depth, and it truly shows their commitment is literal as it relates to ocean protection. We want to thank you, Ambassador, for taking the time and sharing the depth of perspective. And we were also grateful to learn of the role that you play as it relates to the BBNJ Treaty and overall ocean governance. And we want to wish you the best, and we look forward to more in terms of what you will do through your leadership.
Thank you very much.